Yeah, also, hello from my side. My name is Götz Erhardt. I lead Industry X at Accenture in EMEA. Industry X is basically our division for engineering, manufacturing, construction, and cuts across our consulting practices, our technology and data practices, and our engineering services practices. And it's within Accenture one of the very new members of the big Accenture family with 800,000 people. Industry X, 20,000, thereof 10,000 in EMEA, a rather sort of small child in the large family. But why have we set up Industry X? Because engineering and all of the construction, manufacturing, all of these sectors are basically engineering sectors. It's engineering through and through, from construction, technical drawings, designs, engineering bills of materials, which get translated, transferred into manufacturing bill of materials, digital twins connecting all of that. So this is all essentially data rich. So that's the first positive message. The second one is digital technology, and especially AI, can do a lot of beautiful things in the sector. And what has been changing in the sector is basically the larger scale adoption of not only cloud, but also digital technologies and platforms, by the way, which provide the ability to connect data across organizational boundaries. And therefore, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about construction, because I think the Autodesk conference is probably the right place to talk about that, is basically how digital technologies and AI can help with the reinvention of construction, and why the sector is more or less ripe for reinvention. So basically, I talked about Accenture. Autodesk is clearly also the incumbent in the sector. I don't know about your market share. I know it's quite sizable. From sort of all of the users in construction, all the parties involved in construction, from architects, from engineers doing payload calculations, from authorities and municipalities, to large-scale construction firms, and the real estate sector, which basically operates, maintains, and rents and services assets. So I think there could be an interesting combination of our capability with Autodesk helping to reinvent the sector. And the sector is not only one platform. That's probably a difference to some of the other sectors. So take, for instance, engineering in automotive engineering and manufacturing, or even aircraft. There are a couple of sort of real sort of incumbents which take a lot of market share and also have, from a feature list perspective, quite a lot to offer. So take, for instance, Dassault Systems in aerospace. They probably are really sort of sizable. Or Siemens as the largest industrial software company. So but there is also a level of fragmentation in the sectors, right? Regardless if it's construction or manufacturing, because you have different GIS suppliers, you have different BIM players. You have hardware players like Siemens Smart Infrastructure trying to go upstream, offer digital services for their customers. And you have the big cloud providers. And cloud is an essential piece, not only the adoption, as Dexter mentioned, but cloud provides one significant and unmatched advantage, because it allows for a comprehensive knowledge base. You can put data into containers, into large data lakes, which can be accessed by multiple users working on a process, like a large-scale construction project. So if you basically have people doing the basic designs, the design validation probably comes from other parties. You basically want to test a design based on some previous designs which were reasonably similar. in the sense of not only are they feasible, but do they come at which cost, which is an important part. So the cloud providers play an essential role in the reinvention of the construction sector. The others are, and SAP, right? SAP is a big player, not only in the sector, but the only system currently, not only for bookkeeping purposes, but which has costs as the main element, is clearly SAP. So SAP also connects parties in construction and therefore is clearly an important one. And then we have to look at the total life cycle of a construction project. Because, I mean, think about the average. If you would ask someone on the street, what are your first thoughts about the construction sector? What comes to mind? Probably not on time, not on schedule, not on budget. And we all know, I mean, as private people, but also as members of our companies, construction costs are, the inflation of construction costs is worrying, to say the least. And not only simply because it hurts our economies, but it clearly also hurts our ability to modernize, rejuvenate some of the infrastructure, including residential construction, to new sort of climate protection and insulation standards, for instance. So the big topic for the sector is cycle time reduction, costs down, and better connection across the different players of the value chain, because you want to avoid faulty mistakes. That's probably another sort of prejudice on construction. And like all prejudices, it's based on some reality, right? Who hasn't heard about significant design and construction flaws? Could they be avoided if there was a larger knowledge base against to which test design variations, engineering changes? I'm certainly convinced that the number of design flaws will clearly go down. One of the other topics in construction, and this is probably the exact opposite, right? Previous construction was pretty much craftsmanship. It was an architect like the one who designed that beautiful boss, which had everything from the outer shell, the ornaments, the interior, including door handles, thought up and manufactured, handcrafted by an architect and his builders. But if you think about how to get costs down, it's clearly reducing the amount of on-site manufacturing, getting to more modularized building and construction based on the specific requirements. And that is another topic where digital technology, Gen AI and agentic AI can help, because all engineering is based on requirements, as we all know. And what the engineers and construction companies and we all as engineers do is basically seek the best possible design for a given level of cost to fulfill these requirements. But what happens if requirements and designs change, right? The whole process of engineering change management in a construction project, which very often is concurrent engineering. You're building already while you're changing designs. And that's where the problems start. And this is where digital technologies and platforms can help. Because, again, going back to my first argument, it's all data rich. Someone has done something very similar at any given point in time. So what you want to do is to basically check on design changes, their cost implications, their feasibility, as well as their impact on the schedule. And this is actually where agents can help, right? You don't need a human to do the calculation. You know, we all know this. I mean, I guess a lot of you are engineers and trained engineers. A lot of time in engineering is spent on searching. Unproductive search time. And this is something where Gen AI can really help, right? Large language models are nothing else but the application of statistic correlations, resemblances, where you basically, the AI looks for patterns which are close to the problem you're trying to solve. So that again, I mean, think about it, the reduction of search time. I know it from aerospace engineering. Search times in a design change and an engineering change can take up to 50% of the time of an engineer. Unproductive, I mean, just searching. The other one is cycle time, right? And search time is only one element how you can reduce cycle time quite dramatically because you don't search, right? The design validation. Doing a calculation, if you change something on a building, take window size, for instance. Doing the payload and stress calculations, that can be done automatically. So this is where agents can help and super agents to basically validate the entire life cycle. So if we look at the asset life cycle, starting with the investment decision, that's typically the owner-operator. He or she wants to have a specific asset, be it a piece of construction, a piece of infrastructure, a factory, whatever it is, to fulfill given requirements for a certain budget. So taking a good investment decision is key and can be supplemented, even augmented and reinforced using digital technologies, platforms, and AI. I talked a lot about designs, right? Design is, I mean, we've seen it in all the engineering professions where you work with designs, from prototype to final product or asset. Designs, design changes, design validation can be greatly aided by Gen AI. Procurement, a lot of what is engineered is procured somehow, right? So everything from supplier integration, ensuring that what you purchase comes at the right cost, at the right place, at the right time, to basically doesn't hurt your schedule, is super important. And then the construction, commissioning, and operations part. Last topic on operations, because we have seen a wave of what we call Scan-to-BIM projects, where large corporations and customers are looking to their real estate portfolio and basically saying, well, I need to fulfill some BIM requirements, but I also need to understand where these assets are, in which state are they, and how can I modernize, maintain, and service those. And I think there is a huge opportunity in operations also to get more efficient in terms of energy consumption, in terms of construction, modernization, and sometimes decommissioning and building new assets. So I think the life cycle can be greatly supported by digital platforms, Gen AI, and I think the future is clearly a future of reinventing construction. Thank you.